Welcome back to another SCP reading, dear researchers. Today we're going to be reading SCP-466, Mobile Veins. Now without further ado, Special Containment Procedures Revision Report. Draft Proposal. The purpose of this report or proposal is to review the original procedures regarding the entity in question and decide if there is a need for more applicable containment solutions. Also attached is the recent incident regarding the need of this review, a revised copy of the procedures to supersede the original procedures, and any other documentation to support this change in protocol. Below are the electronic signatures of staff and committees that are required for these revisions to be enacted and put into practice. From Research Site 45, the Site Superintendent is pending approval, awaiting further data on SCP-466 threat level. Revised special containment procedures may be enacted in the meantime due to time constraints. The Medical Director has approved. The Containment Director has approved. The Security Director has approved. The Senior Physician has approved. The Senior Containment Engineer has approved. The Ethics Committee Review Board has granted conditional approval. See Memorandum 466-72 for additional details. Note: the following document is no longer applicable and will hence be stricken from the main database. It will be archived and referenced for record-keeping purposes only. Some details may be redacted from this document as the new protocol dictates. Item number SCP-466. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-466 is locked in a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter room. SCP-466 is to be fed 5 times a day through a one-way slot on the steel door, with low iron meals of mass below 1/10 of a kilogram. The key to the door is accessible only to level 3 or higher personnel. Description: it is unknown if SCP-466 is a separate pathogen affecting a human host, or the human host itself. Current theory suggests the former. For clarity, the host individual will be referred to as SCP-466-2, and the possible infective agent as SCP-466-1. SCP-466-2 is a SCP-466-2 exhibits anomalous vascular hypertrophy, particularly along the skin. This includes very broad arteries and veins not part of normal human anatomy. The continually increasing mass of blood vessels is gradually displacing and eroding SCP-466-2's muscles and organs. SCP-466-2 is estimated to have approximately liters of blood. The excess vessels will sometimes rearrange under the skin, which is extremely painful. If the host or hypothesized pathogen is threatened, the excess vessels will physically tear the skin and extend up to meters outward. These defense vessels will constrict threats until neutralized. If cut, they hemorrhage as expected and will be replaced by more vessels from deeper inside SCP-466-2's body. As demonstrated by the rearrangements, SCP-466-1 displays some degree of control over the mobile vessels when inside the body. This control is utilized when SCP-466-2 consumes food. If SCP-466-2 does not consume the entire meal, SCP-466-1 will use the collective strength of the mobile vessels and force-feed SCP-466-2. This is advantageous for SCP-466-1. It appears that nutrients go primarily to expansion of the mobile vessels. Incident Report Form. Incident Date 08-02-2014. Incident Time 1325. Site Location: Research Site 45 Secured Medical Unit. Unique Identifier: Autofill 466-080214. Civilians involved: No. No witnesses, no injuries or death, and there was no amnestics used. Personnel were involved. Number of personnel involved, 6. Injuries and deaths, 2 minor injuries, 1 major injury, 3 deaths. SCP involved, yes. Designation, SCP-466. Containment breached, no. Details. SCP-466 and patient had begun to show abnormal behavior as extremities, excluding the head, began suffering from avascular necrosis over a 48-hour period. Afterwards, SCP-466 was observed to go into a state of acute cardiac arrest. Level 3 authorization was granted for a rapid response medical team to assist in the revival of the patient, while observing the standard protocols of extrinsic biological hazards. SCP-466 and patient were pronounced dead after 30 minutes of continuous resuscitation. SCP-466 and patient were left in the containment cell for another 48 hours of observation, with no activity reported. Level 3 authorization was then given to perform an autopsy on the deceased body. Upon opening the chest cavity, it was observed by medical staff that all arteries and veins were retracted from the external limbs and were clustered around the heart. Though the body was in a normal state of expected decay, the cardiovascular system seemed to show no signs of decomposition. During the autopsy, SCP-466 and the patient became active again and killed the 2 closest medical staff, Drs. Gerard and Sherma. SCP-466 was observed appropriating the circulatory systems from the deceased into itself, while also attempting to sever the head of the patient with a surgical bone saw. The patient's head was seen, which prompted Dr. Briggs to attempt a rescue of the patient from SCP-466. Dr. Briggs was subsequently killed. However, the distraction was timely enough to allow security teams to arrive on the scene before the decapitation could take place. SCP-466 was eventually contained and the patient secured. 3 medical staff and security staff were treated with minor injuries, 2 fractures, and 3 lacerations. 1 security officer had to be surgically treated for a punctured lung and heart. Action items. Review procedures regarding SCP-466. Current procedures may not apply. Interview 466-12, Level 3 access required. Access granted. Post-incident review, INT 466-12. Interview date, 08-04-2014. Interview time, 06-48. Site, location, Research Site 45. Interviewer, Internal Investigator Reuben Foster. Interviewee, Medical Director Dr. Andrea Itzkowitz. Agent Foster. All right, we are recording now. Have a seat, Dr. Itzkowitz. How long will this take? Depends. Is this your first time in one of these? No, there was one other time. Well, let's get started. You were, according to the case file, the one who authorized the autopsy, correct? I did. Would you like to elaborate a bit more, Doctor, for the record? Right. Well, we were certain that it died, and we waited for 2 days as per the protocols for expired anomalous entities in containment. I ordered the autopsy to be performed before the body decayed any further. Did you have the body scanned or order an X-ray beforehand? We did. As I said, we were doing it by the book. You felt that was enough? Doctor, can you please answer? I didn't see a need for further countermeasures. We were dealing with time constraints to perform the autopsy before the incineration deadline, so no. Then what happened? It came back to life. You were present? I was in the observation booth. I was the one who called security. Was there a reason why security wasn't on standby? I told Dr. Sharma to take care of that. Apparently, he didn't. Yes, now Sharma's dead. Yes. Tell me about Dr. Briggs during this incident. He was the only person present in the room while security was being assembled, correct? Yes. Continue. Sorry, I think he was trying to save the patient. The body was in fairly poor condition and was falling apart while the thing was fighting back. So the patient was also alive? Yes, though it is just a head now connected to that thing. So what prompted the doctor to attempt a rescue? I'm pretty sure there were words exchanged between them, since the lungs were still attached. I couldn't make out the voice behind the glass. Any idea about what was said? No, but apparently it was enough to convince Briggs to risk his own life and try to stop the thing from sawing the patient off its body, I guess? I see. Then what happened? Briggs struggled with it for a few seconds, then it... well, I'm not really sure what you call it. Rooted into him, I guess? And that's when security came in? Right. Then I ran after the glass was shot out. Where is the entity and patient now? Heavily sedated in temporary containment until we figure out what to do next. The head still seems active, however. That is rather interesting. Is there anything else? Any other details you want to record? Briggs was a good man. I regret his death, and I'm also going to ensure that his death was not in vain. Sentiments noted. Thank you, Doctor. So what happens now? I file this case report to my superiors. If there is a follow-up, you will be notified. Very well. We're done then? Yes. Dr. Itzkowitz leaves the room and closes the door. Agent Foster. For the record, I don't believe there was negligence involved here. The procedures were unfortunately outdated. I'll see about interviewing the patient if possible. Interview 466-14. Level 3 access required. Access granted. Post-incident interview. INT 466-14. Interview date 08/04/2014. Interview time 14:48. Site and location. Research Site 45. Interviewer Internal Investigator Reuben Foster. Interviewee Patient related to SCP-466, formerly known as SCP-466-2. Agent Foster. All right, I have the recorder on. Open the cell, please. Security guard. Be careful in there, sir. I'll escort you in. All right, then. Well, the patient is indeed just a head. The rest of it seems to be sedated. Not much movement. Man, that's fucked up. Quiet, please. Excuse me. Patient looks at Agent Foster. Can you hear me? Right. No lungs. Blink once for yes, twice for no. All right? Patient blinks yes. Good. Is your name... and are you... years old? Patient blinks yes. The security guard makes an indecipherable comment. Are you in control of that? Agent Foster motions to SCP-466 lying on the floor. Patient blinks no.
Do you know why it wants to separate from you?
Patient has a long pause before blinking yes.
Do you want to be separated?
The patient blinks rapidly. The security guard raises weapon at patient.
Okay, calm down. He's off the trigger. No harm is done.
The patient's expression changes to being frightened.
I think its separation should not happen.
Patient blinks no.
The heart. Do you think it's evil, perhaps?
Patient blinks yes.
But while it's connected to you still, it can't... what exactly?
Patient mouths the word become.
Begone? No, become. Become what?
Expression becomes panicked on the patient.
Whoa, now. What did I say?
Shit. It's starting to move. SCP-466 begins to lift itself up, dragging the patient's head across the floor and slowly stumbling towards both men.
Get out of the way!
Gunfire is heard.
Move! Stop shooting! Get out of the cell!
Alarm is triggered as both men leave and lock the cell door. Medical technician.
Hurry, get the IV back in before it wakes up!
Running footsteps are heard.
Fuck! We can't keep increasing dosage like this. It's resisting it. Well, end of the interview.
Revision. Note: the following document has been authorized for immediate use. Additional details and/or procedures may follow before finalization is complete. Item number SCP-466. Object class Euclid. Pending possible reclassification after formal review. Special containment procedures. SCP-466 is to be sealed in Containment Cell 73 at E Block at Research Site 45. E Block is to remain separated from the main installation for the entirety of SCP-466's captivity. Containment Cell 73 is to have a 30cm thick acrylic observation window installed and the doors welded shut from the outside. SCP-466's primary containment component, or its head, as the primary heart connected to the brainstem, are to be locked together in a perforated stainless steel lockbox at all times. And a footnote here. The purpose of placing them together in the lockbox is to ensure that collateral is held against SCP-466 as to persuade it to not damage the head. The head is to be considered a vital component of containment. Efforts must be made to ensure SCP-466 does not put it in jeopardy and it remains connected at all times. 4 liters of nutrient-rich water solution is to be sprayed into the containment tank every 10 hours. The nutrient solution will be adjusted and administered by medical staff. An oxygen-rich atmosphere, 25% O2, will be maintained in the cell at all times. In the event of a containment breach, SCP-466 is to be suppressed with gas-based flame weaponry. Description: SCP-466 is an amorphous and animate configuration of 4 human cardiovascular systems. The primary heart of SCP-466 is still attached to the original brainstem and thus still preserves its head. The other 3 were absorbed during a separate incident post-acquisition and serve no purpose other than additional extensions of the whole. All 4 hearts of SCP-466 have increased in size by 275% and are observed to beat in synchronization at 130 beats per minute. SCP-466 is considered to be sentient and it responds to stimuli and pain in appropriate manners. The veins and arteries of SCP-466 are able to move, as their stomach muscle tissue, the tissue between the intima and adventitia, has developed into tissue resembling skeletal muscle. The ends of each appendage is also tipped with a sharp calcified barb. SCP-466 is observed to be dexterous and extremely mobile, and can even remain on vertical surfaces or ceilings for long periods of time. SCP-466 is capable of producing erythrocytes, monocytes, and thrombocytes. It is unknown where the hematopoietic progenitor cells are located, as no bone marrow has been discovered. SCP-466 is not capable of angiogenesis and is dependent on appropriating other human cardiovascular systems in order to increase its mass. SCP-466 can, however, heal itself at an accelerated rate. SCP-466 is able to oxygenate without the use of lungs. It is theorized to extract oxygen and nutrients from the surrounding air. The primary heart still remains connected to the original brainstem, though it has attempted several times to physically separate itself from it, including hitting it against hard surfaces or attempting to rip it off. The behavior of this is not fully understood, but it is theorized that separating the head from SCP-466 would trigger another step in its ongoing development. SCP-466 has remained in an agitated state since the development of the perforated lockbox placed around its head and primary heart. Small amounts of water have been observed to drain from the perforated lockbox, though this is merely from condensation and should be ignored. Due to phenotypical similarities to SCP-1429-005, genetic material was compared between the two specimens, and found to have multiple orthologous sequences, possibly indicating common ancestry. Analysis results of SCP-466 blood sample. Patient SCP-466, specimen human, comparability. Date: the 8th of August, 2014, 12:01. Sample ID 466 Kappa 90. Test Bun. Results 7. Unit MG/DL. Flag yellow. Health range 13 to 18. Clinical range 5 to 26. Test Creatine. Results 0.5 milligrams or DL. Green flag. No healthy range. Clinical range is 0.5 to 1.1. Test for taut protein. Results 11.1. Unit G/DL. Flag red. Healthy range 7.11 to 7.61. Clinical range 6.0 to 8.5. Test Albumin. Results 4.9. Unit G/DL. Flag red. Healthy range 4.1 to 4.5. Clinical range 3.6 to 4.8. Test Globulin. Results 2.8. Unit G/DL. Flag green. Healthy range 2.81 to 3.51. Clinical range 1.50 to 4.50. Test Taut bilirubin. Results 0.8. Unit mg/dl. Flag green. Healthy range 0.3 to 0.9. Clinical range 0.0 to 1.2. Test SCOT AST. Results 26. Unit UI/L. Flag green. Healthy range 15 to 26. Clinical range 6 to 40. Test SGPT-ATL. Results 25. Unit IU/L. Flag green. Healthy range 15 to 26. Clinical range 6 to 40. Test, sodium, serum. Results 139. Unit, mmol over L. Flag, green. No healthy range. Clinical range is 135 to 145. Test, potassium, serum. Results 4.1. Unit, mmol over L. Flag, green. No healthy range. Clinical range 3.5 to 5.2. Test, chloride, serum. Results 104. Unit, mmol over L. Flag, green. No healthy range. Clinical range 97 to 108. Test, calcium, serum. Results 12.2. Unit, mmol over L. Flag, red. Healthy range, none. Clinical range 8.5 to 10.6. Memorandum M-466-72. Sent 08-12-2014-2136 to Dr. Frederick Carlisle, Superintendent at Research Site 45, from Ethics Committee Review Board Secretary. In light of the situation regarding SCP-466, whereas the current containment procedures no longer apply to its current condition and thereby necessitate the review and development of more applicable procedures and containment protocols, the following draft has been proposed. However, the patient associated with SCP-466 does invoke the authority of the Ethics Committee, as dealing with the well-being and moral decision of what is to be done in regards to both patient and entity. It is unfortunate that there is no ideal solution in separating both, and that there is no sustainable solution in both preserving and improving the quality of life of the patient without putting a substantial amount of risk on additional staff. It is not an easy decision, and would not be the first nor last time such a ruling is made. Thus, after careful deliberation, the committee is tasked with making those difficult decisions on behalf of the Foundation and has decided the following measures. 1. That the patient is considered as lost collateral. Mental health considerations need not apply. 2. That this lost collateral is considered a deterrent to SCP-466's development and hence be considered a primary component in aiding containment. 3. That said primary component be maintained and kept in reasonable functioning state. 4. That all identity and details regarding the primary component be expunged from all records. 5. That staff who are tasked with handling SCP-466 be screened for specific moral objections that may conflict with containment protocols. With these measures in place, the Ethics Committee Review Board grants a conditional approval to the following procedures, and that they may be enacted immediately as such. If you have further questions or concerns, please contact us. Sincerely, Ethics Committee Review Board Secretary. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading, dear researchers. It is always hard to hear about people who even the Ethics Committee has to accept are lost and must be used in furtherance of containment. But if my personal theory on this is correct, and this particular SCP is possibly related to SCP-058, the Heart of Darkness, I certainly hope that we never see it evolve. For now, though, thank you very much for coming. It has been an honor reading for you. Good luck out there, and I hope to see you all next time.